Hey everybody, this is Sean V. Bradley, president of Dealer Synergy and the creator of the Millionaire Car Salesman Group. And this is season 2 of the Millionaire Car Salesman podcast. I've got a really, really special guest who I haven't spoken to in years. His name is Gene Lopez out of New Jersey. So Gene, can you first just kind of, let's go through your background. How long have you been in the automotive industry for?
Too long, Sean, probably since about 1978.
Welcome to the Millionaire Car Salesman podcast, the #1 resource for automotive sales professionals, managers, and owners to learn how to make money, accumulate wealth, and to all out ball out in the auto industry. And now your hosts, Sean V. Bradley and L.A. Williams.
Wow. So I was born in 76. So obviously you've been doing this for 40 plus years in the automotive industry. That is phenomenal. So talk us through like your career trajectory. Did you start in sales? Did you start in service? Where'd you start? And how did you go through?
I started as a salesman. I started on a sales floor, taking up, selling cars, worrying about the next up coming through the door and how I was going to get my next up. Even going through the classifieds, calling people selling their cars out of the classified, which you really don't have that much anymore. But I guess it would be Auto Traders or Cars.com. You would be calling people, the private sellers on those vehicles right now in order to be able to generate appointments to bring them into the showroom.
So let's go back to the 80s for a second. Let's go back to the 80s for a second, because this is before the internet, before social media, before CRMs. When I remember when I got into the industry 21 years ago, we had paper desk logs, highlighters, we had Stuckler tickler files. Just give these freaking youngins out there a little bit of a reality check of what car sales was like back in the 80s and 90s.
It was all referral. A lot of it was referral. A lot of it was newspaper ads, having the people come in with the low price leaders, one in stock only, and then you had to switch them over to another car that was, depending on the inventory, you had either 300, 400, 500 cars that you could walk them through the lot and have them land on a car. And then it was all relationship. It was selling yourself to let the customer want to do business with you, because the pricing has always been aggressive in the car industry, but the end result is that you have to convince your customer to want to do business with you, so that this way here they want to do business with you, they'll pay you a little bit more, and they'll send you referrals.
So take us into it. So you were on the floor. Do you remember back then, what was the most amount of cars you sold to the gross? What are you proud of when you were on the floor? Do you have any crazy milestones that you hit?
We had contests and everything else like that. I mean, I would probably average in the high teens, 17, 18. Mm-hmm. During the summer months, I'd get up into the, August, September, we'd get up into the 30s. Gross wasn't a state of mind at that point. We weren't selling cars below invoice. It was a matter of working off of MSRP and working your way down and, negotiating on a trade and, making your gross that way. So, I mean, a minimum gross in those days was probably $500 or $600 over invoice, and you could get a full list price deal and be a couple, $2,000-$3,000 depending on the markup in the vehicle. It's not like today's margins where it's most of them are under 4% and 5%. Some of the cars we sell were we got $41 or $20 between list and cost.
Okay. And you've evolved from the showroom floor into management, into general management. And not only general management, you were, general manager of dealer groups. So talk us through your career path. When did you want to become a general manager and run your own stores?
I would just say I was probably in the right place at the right time. I mean, I sold cars on the floor. Was asked to be a closer. In those days, they called them closers. But not just a closer. You had to be a sales manager so that you could teach and train, show your salespeople how to do follow-up, how to do a walk around. And I ran a team of 5 or 6 guys for probably a year or so. And then, one day the dealership I was at was advertising for an F&I guy. And, I went to the general manager at that time. I said, listen, I want that job. They said, well, you don't know anything about that job. I said, well, for $80,000 a year, I says, I'll learn everything I have to. I says, I'll learn the job for that kind of money. And then I wound up going into finance. So then I was in finance for a bunch of years. selling a whole lot of cars. And in those days, $1,100, $1,200 a car was a lot because it was a different environment than it was now. It was all front end gross, and back end, F&I was just an additional profit center. And then I was asked to run a store when the dealership I was working at acquired another store. And we acquired another store, and then I became the general manager. So it was just a matter of progression of going through all the seats in the front. And I was blessed to have a good service manager and good sales managers around me, and we moved forward. And I guess you're talking about 21 years ago when you got into the auto industry. I guess that's when I first met you, because that's when we ventured into the internet, with the processing the leads, and we got to do this, and I'll be honest, I really didn't know that much about it, but you brought us along and showed us how to do all of that, and that was the advent, I guess, of the internet, and not quite as aggressive as it is right now, but the internet and processing leads and working leads and getting people in the building, answering, sound tracks on the telephone, word tracks on the telephone, making sure you get the customer into the showroom to sell them a car. So then after that, I guess I just became a fixer. My reputation was that I could make a store profitable, and then people were trying to hire me to go fix their stores, and I successfully fixed a couple of stores. Either got them fixed up so they could be sold to other people, or fixed up so they could be profitable, or whatever. The task of running a store and teaching salespeople how to take ups, and F&I guys how to be profitable, and service managers how to make money. It's repetition, and it's process, and it's a matter of just, talking to people and inspecting what you expect and moving forward, and just don't let anything fall by the wayside.
Let's go through that, because I want to pick this up in different directions. Let's go through from you have massive amount of experience, and you're being way humble as far as like you were putting on ridiculous numbers back at Pima Automotive in Toms River. It was like, what, a 400 car store. It's crazy. So I want to just kind of put that out to our listeners. Let's just go through from role to role. So like for salespeople, with your 40 plus years experience, what advice do you have for salespeople in 2020 and beyond to be successful? Specifically, like if you could tell yourself, if you could go back 39 years ago and give yourself advice or what have you, what would it be? Or what advice do you have for any of the sales professionals listening to us, how they can really maximize this industry's opportunities?
The most important thing is to build rapport with the customer. The heart, once you get the customer in the showroom, and now today in today's environment, you have to start building rapport on your emails, on your chats, on your telephone conversations, so that this way here you're forever giving the customer a reason to want to meet you and to do business with you. So your approach always has to be nice to people, build rapport, show an interest in what they're going to use the car for, or show an interest in who's buying a car anyway. It could be the kid's first brand new car. It could be the kid's first used car. Mom is, they're adding to the family. Mom just got pregnant. They got to get out of the coupe and they got to get into a sport utility. You got to find a reason to connect with the people. Once you connect with the people, selling a car is no different than having a conversation with somebody.
This is strong. Okay, what do you think the biggest mistakes that showroom consultants do? Because this is the same thing back when I was working for you back in the day. Like it's the same thing in 2020 as it was back in 2002. What are the pitfalls?
They skip the steps. They skip the steps. You can never skip a step. No matter, we used to call them 90-day wonders. They would sell 20, 25 cars. They'd be up machines for the first 2, 3, 4 months, and then they'd go from 25 cars to 5 cars, and they didn't understand why. Well, they didn't understand why because, you want the blue one? Okay, let me give you some numbers on the blue one. Well, it's not a matter of giving them numbers on the blue one. Let's go out. Let's make sure it has the right features. Let's take it for a ride. Let's make sure everybody fits in it. Let's make sure if there's any questions, maybe it's missing an option. Is you want something else in it? You got to make sure that people take mental ownership of the car before you start negotiating. And if you skip that step, you don't have a deal. You can't skip that step. That's the most important step of the deal.
And so for you, you are a strong desk. I mean, like you gross. And so, the desk perspective, in my opinion, is that you want to build value. Price is only relevant with the absence of value. And if you're, to your point, if you're not doing a full features and benefits walk around presentation, if you're not personally going on that test drive and doing a full demonstration drive, you're not building enough value. So it only goes back to the numbers. So what advice do you have to salespeople that if they say, like, they bitch and moan, well, the customer already drove the car, or they don't want to do a walk around? Like I remember what you guys used to do at Prime Belt. You turn around, I used to come to the desk. We used to turn around and say, did you demo the car? No. Boom, go out and demo the car. But now, like, how do you explain how to do that? So let's just say I came to the desk and I said, hey, boss, I need a first pencil. And then you say to me, Sean, did you do features, benefits? Did you do a demo? And I'm like, no. And you're like, why? Oh, they didn't want to. How do you respond back to me? What can you coach me to do to go back and try to get them to allow me to do the features and benefits presentation or the demonstration drive?
Well, you know me. I would look them in the eye and say, well, obviously, Mr. Salesman, you have a problem because I'm not giving you a pencil until I drive the car. It's just that simple. Huh?
I said, praise God, damn straight, bro.
You probably watched me do it.
Yes, hell yes. You did it to me before. Absolutely.
It hasn't changed. I mean, and then you get these younger people. I don't want to sound like an old fart and say millennials, but well, you say to them, well, didn't you ever try the shoes on before you bought them? Well, no, I buy them on the internet. They send them to the front door. So, and you get caught up in that once in a while. But the fact of the matter is they have to drive the car. I mean, I've walked over to people myself and said, listen, folks, I understand you drove the car someplace else. Please go drive the car that you're going to take home today. I want to make sure you're happy with it. If they go drive the car, I got a deal. I mean, I know I got a deal because I already trials closed them and saying, don't you want to drive the car that you're going to take home today? And they're shaking their head, yes. I mean, there's no magic. You just have to relate to the people, and you got to get them shaking their head, saying, agreeing to what you having to say. There's no magic. It's just being nice to people.
Okay, so now let's transition to sales managers. Again, from a high, powerful GM like you've got a team of sales managers, especially if you've got a floor GM that's got like 20 plus salespeople on the floor. You have either floor managers, TO managers, you've got desk managers. What is your job expectation? So if I was a sales manager working for you, what would you expect from me as a sales manager? Go through some job descriptions or non-negotiables if I want to be a sales manager in your store.
Well, to be a sales manager, you have to start your people's day. So you just can't have them come at 9 o'clock and start, okay, where are we going for breakfast? And let's go get coffee. And, okay, they got a special over there at Joe Blow's Bagel Shop. You're prepared to start working at 9 o'clock. You want to do that stuff, then come early and go get breakfast at 8:30 in the morning. We open at 9. We're ready to go to work at 9. So you want to start that. You want your sales managers to, hey, listen, Sean, you had 3 ups yesterday. You sold 1. When are the other 2 people coming back in? Did you follow up on them? Did you send them a thank you note? Did you send them an email? What was your contact after the people left yesterday? When are they coming back in again? And get the answer and get the feedback. You have to know, as a sales manager, you have to know everything that your salespeople did. How many ups they had, how many phone calls they made, who they talked to, who they didn't talk to. Did they get you a TO? Oh, the guy won't come back in. They need the wife. Okay, let's get the phone number. Did you talk to the guy today? No. Okay, magic fingers, I call it. I've been told how many times that nobody, oh no, they're not home. I had to leave a message. I couldn't do this. I couldn't, I've heard them all. Okay, listen, dial the number. Yeah, well, which one you want me to dial? I don't care. Dial the number. And whatever number they dial, I've always been fortunate or lucky enough that the people answer the phone. I get to bring them in. I'm not that smart. I'm not that good. It's magic fingers.
I love it. Okay, so now let's talk about this because you brought up something that was so awesome. You said that you're like a fixer. So let's now speak to whether you're speaking to another general manager that's listening to this podcast or a general sales manager. Like, what is the low-hanging fruit in a dealership? So if you're going to go into a dealership to fix it up, let's just say they just brought in Gene Lopez. What do you look for to have the fastest, most immediate change to add profitability or units? What are low-hanging fruit that any GM or GSM should really be focused on?
You have to make the deals that you're supposed to make. You can't pass on the deals. You know, the dealer principal just said to you, well, if we can't do $150,000 this month, I don't know if I'm going to keep you around. Okay, fine. That's fine. You're not out here selling the cars for me. I'll take care of it. And you start one at a time. You make the first deal, and maybe you lose a little bit of money on it, but you hook the trade, or you got the trade sold or something like that. You have to start making every deal you're supposed to make. There's nothing more frustrating to the salespeople or to the sales managers that they do everything you tell them to do. They do the walk around, they do the product presentation, they do the demo ride, they get the commitment, they work the deal. You know, the used car manager wants to steal the trade, so now he's going to hook the trade by $1,000. These people are busy breaking your ass trying to do something. Well, you know what? They deserve a deal. You got to make the deal. You have the authority, make the deal. Make the deal. Because you know what? Next time, they're going to give you a little bit more, and you're going to make a little bit more money the next time. Once they see that you believe in what you're doing, they're going to buy into what they're going to buy into what you're saying, and that's how you fix a dealership.
That is strong.
Everybody has to buy in.
That's really strong. Just put metal on the road, make the deals. I like that. Okay, now you are blessed. I don't know if you've ever worked outside of the Northeast region of the United States, but I'm all over the country. And what I'm finding, Gene, it's crazy, is that in North Jersey or in New York, New Jersey, the tri-state area, lease penetration is like about 73% on average. Back down south, I've got dealers in the teens. Their lease penetration is about 20, 25%. How important is leasing to being successful at a dealership as far as keeping people back in market quickly? So how important is a leasing strategy to you?
Well, I'm in the Mid-Atlantic right now, so I'm in Maryland right now as we're speaking. Okay. So I understand. I mean, I've managed to move it from 10 or 12% when I got here up until the 30%. The most important thing with leasing is that your expenses as a dealership go down. Okay, all you have to do is manage your You have to manage your portfolio. Every 3 years, if you sell pick a number. You sell 50 cars today, and 70% of them are leases. In 36 months, 35 people are going to need another car. So you start working those people 5 and 6 months out when your manufacturer starts saying, okay, listen, your lease is almost over, and you got to get your car inspected, and you make sure it has no damage on it, and here's the process, and you got to contact us, and we're going to come out and inspect your car. Your people have to you have to instruct your people and teach your people how to contact those people so that you have another 35 deals. In 36 months, if you delivered 50 leases, or you get your 35 cars back again, and you have another 35 cars. You don't have to advertise as much. You have a good source of trade-ins for your used car lot. You have people that have serviced and worked have come to your service department. You can sell those trades as one-owner cars, one-owner trade-ins, certified or non-certified, whatever you want to do. It's just it's a never-ending flow of extra gross coming into the door. Because what happens is that once they come around, they like making a car payment at whatever that number is. And everybody knows now with the leasing, that's why it's so popular in certain pockets of the country. Yeah, okay, give me another one for $300,000 a month. Give me another one for $500,000 a month. Yeah, I like that car. I don't want to have to worry about any expenses or anything else. That's why I lease. I don't want to worry about warranties. I don't want to worry about anything. I just want to come in here, get my oil changes, and do whatever you tell me to do. And they just keep knocking on the door. Every 3 years, they're knocking on the door, and it's an unlimited source of customers.
So why do you think?
It's good for the dealership. It's good for the customers.
So it's awesome that in your organization you just tripled the lease penetration since you've been there, but it's not nowhere near where it is in New Jersey. So why do you think a lot of dealerships are not leasing? I have my opinion, but I want to hear yours first. And then how could they identify what that problem is and just get over that shit and start developing a strong lease business? What do you think?
Well, in this particular market, the manufacturers play a big part in that, Sean. They determine what the lease markets are going to be and what the lease markets aren't going to be. So in the Northeast, they know that they have to keep a price point at a certain amount. The incentives are ridiculous compared to what they are. I mean, I can lease a car to somebody, let's call it in the state of Maryland, and have a lease rebate of maybe $500 or $600, and have somebody from New Jersey call me and say, listen, I need another car. Why don't you, send me up a car. I'm going to come down and get one. And the rebate could be $3,000 on the same car. So a lot of it is dictated by what the manufacturer feels is a lease market and isn't a lease market. So that's one portion of it. The other portion of it is that the salespeople and the sales staff aren't educated enough to tell the people that, well, let me give you an alternative way to buy the car, to drive the car, not even buy the car, to drive the car. Oh, what are you talking about? Well, let me show it to you. As soon as you say lease, it's like, they want to take out the holy water and give you the sign of the cross when you say lease in some places because, oh no, I always bought my cars. I always say, no, you don't understand. Let me explain it to you. And when you explain it to them, you can pretty much, then they start listening to you and why you want to do it. Why are you going to put down $5,000 on a car to get to the same payment? Wouldn't you rather look at that $5,000 in your bank account and drive the car at what you want, and you don't have to worry about any expenses on major components? And in 3 years, I'll see you again and give you another one, and you can still have your $5,000 or $10,000 or whatever that number is. That's why leasing is so popular in certain markets because, here, what do I sign? Sign and drive. What do I sign? I'll keep my money. I'm going to watch it grow in my bank or wherever I want to invest it, and you can, I'll drive the car. Because you're only paying for the portion that you're using. Manufacturer has to worry about getting rid of the car afterwards.
Strong. Okay, so Gene, what about other profitability in the dealership? For example, I was really privileged to learn from you at Pine Belt and Tom's River with special finance. It's like blood money. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of ag that goes into it. If you don't have the right banks, you don't have the right inventory that book out the right way. But to this day, the largest gross I ever did, I don't know if you remember this, was a 99 Catera at Pine Belt Cadillac. I had a 10G deal. I'll never forget that because, the Cateras booked out really well. And, you guys knew what you guys were doing.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Remember that back in the day, I'm old too.
Yeah.
So how powerful is subprime special finance, for profitability?
Well, it depends. It's very important, and the thing that a lot of people lose sight of is that they want to look at these customers as second-class citizens, and they're wrong for that. You have to treat them. You have to treat a subprime customer the same as if you had an 800 credit score or the president of the United States sitting in front of you. Because what's going to happen is when that man or woman go back to work, and whatever the job is, on an assembly line or riding the back of a garbage truck or, pushing, whatever they're pushing, they're going to tell somebody, hey, listen, go over here, go see my guy because you know me, I'm driving a car, you should go see him. That is the best subprime customers. I love them. I've made lots of money off of them, got a nice house off of them, and you have to treat them properly because that is the best way to have a steady stream of referrals. It's a grassroots effort to bring those subprime customers. And you treat them nice, they'll drive the people to you. They won't even send you in. They'll drive the people to you. Come on, I'll bring you to see Sean. I'll bring you to see Gene. Come on down. They'll take care of you. They'll take good care of you. And you got to treat them. They can go any place and be told that they can't buy a car. The person who says, listen, let me help you, you own them for life. You're not going to sell them one car. You're going to sell them every car they're ever going to buy for the rest of their life.
So now let's go we're in 2020. 99% of Americans go online before they step into the dealership. Over 90% of all transactions start on search. People find their husbands, their wives, their pets, their medication. And I got to tell you is that I've talked about it throughout the years. I don't know if you saw it, that what we did at Pine Belt back in 2001, 2002, we were selling 100 units a month out of the internet department. And I'll never forget, you put the internet department, you put me in the office. You had your GM office. You had your 2 or 3 F&I managers. Desk managers like Gene Lopez. It was Gene. You were over there. You had Vinny Guzzi. You had Joe Mattina. Were the desk guys. Yeah, remember Guzzi and Mattina. And basically what was cool
and
about
Marty,
that is that
big old sloppy
and Marty.
Marty.
Oh my God, yes, it's crazy. And so we were doing shit like 18 years ago that's just unprecedented. There's dealers now that are still not even pushing 100 units a month out of the internet department, and it's 2020. So how important would you say that internet and BDC is in 2020, like just in the automotive industry?
It's everything. Tack the place up and close the doors if you don't have it.
Period.
Just shut the doors. You can't compete. You cannot compete without it. You cannot compete without it. I've never been. Go ahead.
No. Okay. I don't want to keep going.
I've never been afraid to look at something and say, why can't we do this? Or to say something's brand new and say, okay, fine, let's try it. You got to be willing to try. The people who don't want to change and, I did this like this in 1986 and we used to do this way and we used to do this way. Well, they're a friggin' dinosaur because they're pumping gasoline into the back of the cars now from the dinosaurs. If you're not willing to change, you're going to get hit by a truck. You got to be willing to change, and you got to be willing to listen, and you got to be willing to learn. When you want to stop learning, go retire or get out of the car business.
Gene, I think it was you. I could be wrong because I've never sourced this, but I think it was you that gave me the book, or it was. I know it was a Pine Belt, but I could have sworn it was you. Who Moved My Cheese? Was that you that recommended that book?
Yes, that was me.
That's what I thought. And I've never mentioned that source, who that was, but I've talked about that experience. Talk to the people because it's exactly what you just said. Tell them about this book and then and why it was so important that you showed me that 18 years ago, because it still is relevant today. Talk about that book for a second.
Well, it's Who Moved My Cheese. It's about a bunch of mice that got into the habit of going to the same certain spot all the time to get their cheese to eat every day. And then when they start moving it, they couldn't live or work, or they died and got hungry. So you just have to go and you have to worry about who moved my cheese. And the whole story is who moved my cheese is that, okay, how am I going to eat today? And what am I going to do? And how am I going to change? And what's going to go forward? So that's all it is. I mean,
but it's exactly what you said.
I think it's the same guy who wrote the seven habits of an effective manager. Isn't it the same author?
I'm not sure. I know the 7 Habits is Dr. Covey, different, but this
somebody else.
Yeah. But what really this inspired me.
You got the fish market. You got the fish market in Seattle. It's almost the same way. Like Who Moved My Cheese, also.
Okay, I'm going to check that out. No, it's that you've got to evolve in this industry. Things are still like for the core. Yeah, there's a lot of things that are the same, like, an up is an up, the road to the sale is the road to the sale. But there are certain idiosyncrasies, there's certain things that you have to evolve with, especially when you're dealing with the internet, you're dealing with Carvanas and Tesla. And if you don't innovate, you're going to be like Blockbuster, or you're going to be like Toys R Us, or you're going to be like, a lot of these brick and mortars that are going out of business because of these disruptors. Okay, so let's wind down the interview because I know that you've taken time to do this interview. Let's talk about money. Okay, so let's talk about this is all packed with huge value. Let's say I'm a salesperson or I'm a manager and now I'm making bank. You know what I mean? Like I get into the automotive industry and holy shit, I'm getting $10,000, $20,000 paychecks. A lot of people, they turn around and start buying the big houses, they buy rims, they buy this, they buy that because but instead of understanding about assets and liabilities and investments, you are a very successful man. What would you advise our podcast listeners that are starting to getting these fat checks? What should they spend money on? What should they invest in? And what should they not waste money on?
Well, listen, when I would hire brand new salespeople, I would always want them to I would talk them into buying a car to get them a car payment. And I would probably talk them into maybe going looking at a house and getting a house, because this way here, it's something that they can build into and they can, it's an investment. Because I didn't want them to get bored and say, "Oh, what am I doing this for?" So you had to step them up a level over what they were making before they got into the car business, but you didn't want them spending more than they were making. So once they have a nice house, not a big house, a nice house, a nice moderate size, comfortable house, and a car payment. Now you got to teach them how to save money, because otherwise, they make $10,000, they'll blow $10,000. They make $20,000, they'll blow $20,000. I worked with a lot of guys in the 80s that, okay, you know what, tomorrow, we're going to make more money tomorrow. That's okay. Let's spend it all today. And let's spend it all today. Well, it doesn't work that way, because one day the merry-go-round stops, and then you got to worry about how to start over again and say, oh boy, if I didn't do this and if I didn't do that. So you always have to pay yourself too. You got to pay your bills, and you got to take care of your kids and your wife or whatever you got going on, but you still have to pay yourself too. You always have to make sure you have that extra money that you're going to pay yourself for a rainy day. And you know what? If you never use it, That's okay too, but you never want to blow it all. And once you get the discipline of car payment, mortgage, savings account, dance shoes or tutus or whatever the hell it is, and you just get into that habit, it's an acquired skill. It's like the process of selling a car. Once you get in the process of what you're going to do with your money, it don't change. You just keep going, and one day you wake up and you say, geez, how did I save all that money? And it's really that simple.
Gene, this has been amazing. And look at how much we've gone through, just freestyle. You didn't prep. I didn't give you a bunch of questions. We just had a conversation. And the structure of this, like, there's going to be literally tens of thousands of people that are going to be listening to this. And it's going to influence.
Now you're going to get me nervous.
Oh no, like, you're already done. The interview's over. You did a great job. So I always close like this. I wanted to just say, listen, first and foremost, thank you so much for sharing your 40 years of just knowledge and expertise. But I want to give you the opportunity to close out, and just, like, what message would you like to leave with the industry? What takeaways, like, if you were going to summarize your 40 years of experience into just some takeaways or best practice advice, what would you leave the audience with? You're on.
You have to find out what works best for you, because you just can't have a canned presentation or anything else like that. You have to be able to put your personality into your presentation. And once you find something that works, you keep to it. You never take a shortcut. You never skip a step. Because when you do, you're going to go look in the mirror and you're going to say, geez, how come I didn't sell those people a car? I should have sold them a car. And when you're looking at the man in the mirror and the guy looks back, he'll tell you, you skipped a step. And that's the bottom line. As long as you can look the guy in the mirror and he knows everything. You can't lie and you can't bullshit him. As long as you can look the man in the mirror or the person in the mirror and get the right answer, you're fine. Because that's it. The man in the mirror knows everything. That's the only way you can be successful in anything.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you like it, you love it, you want more of it, then don't wait for the next money show. Just go to bradleyondemand.com and take your career to the next level.